One of the most surprising and honestly, one of the coolest pairings in the Marvel Universe is that of Frank Castle, aka The Punisher, and Karen Page. Yep, we are totally rooting for Jon Bernthal's brutal Frank Castle and Deborah Ann Woll's fearless Karen Page from Daredevil. Now, if you're a die-hard comic book fan, you might be raising an eyebrow thinking, Karen and Frank together? What? But trust us, this twist is not only unexpected, but it also brings a depth to their characters that you wouldn't believe. Stick around, because we're about to break down why this pairing totally flips the script on what we expect from comic adaptations. But before we dive into the gritty details, let's take a little stroll down memory lane. The origins, Karen and Frank in comics. It all starts back in 1964. Karen Page made her debut in Daredevil #1 as Matt Murdock's trusted secretary and original love interest. Over time, though, her story took some wild turns. From discovering Matt's secret identity to moving to California and finding fame in Hollywood, Karen's journey was anything but predictable. Meanwhile, Frank Castle, our very own Punisher, made his debut in The Amazing Spider-Man #129 in 1974. And guess what? For decades, Frank and Karen barely crossed paths. It wasn't until the 1980s when comic legend Frank Miller started writing Daredevil that we saw Frank's brutal justice collide with the softer side of our favorite heroes. Even then, Karen and Frank hardly interacted, and in 1999, Karen's comic storyline even ended with her tragic death in Guardian Devil. Ouch! The Netflix era. A bold, new twist. But fast forward to the Netflix era, and bam, things take a dramatic turn. In the series, Karen isn't just Matt's secretary anymore. She becomes a key player in Frank's story. The first time these two meet is pure cinematic gold. Frank, as the ruthless Punisher, shoots at a witness that Karen is protecting. But instead of running away like most would, Karen sees something deeper in Frank. As the drama unfolds, Karen digs into the dark world of corruption surrounding the murder of Frank's family, a tragedy that no one's talking about. And guess what? She even breaks into Frank's abandoned home. Imagine walking into a house filled with children's toys and mementos, all frozen in time, speaking to the life Frank lost. Wow, it's a haunting glimpse into Frank's painful past. The beginning, from strangers to allies. Well, Karen pushes Matt Murdock and his partner, Foggy Nelson, to take on Frank's case after his arrest. Now, at first, Frank is a stubborn client, only opening up to Karen when she agrees to help him uncover the conspiracy behind his family's death. And slowly but surely, an unlikely and super compelling bond starts to form between them. You won't believe it, but they start working together. And then, boom, Frank escapes from prison. Now they're on the run, with the conspiracy targeting Karen. Talk about high stakes. Karen's dark backstory. Here's the real twist. Karen's backstory is darker than we ever imagined. Unlike her comic counterpart, the Netflix Karen struggled with substance abuse before ever stepping foot in New York. And in Season 3, we learn that her past is a tangled web of guilt, loss, and pain, which only adds layers to her connection with Frank. Remember that tragic incident with her brother Kevin? Karen was blamed by everyone, including her own father, for his death. That heavy baggage fuels her relentless drive for justice and draws her closer to Frank, who's battling demons of his own after losing his family. The Punisher series, when things get really intense. Now, let's take a swing over to the Punisher series, where things get even more intense. Karen sees Frank as a kindred spirit, someone who's walked through a similar hell, but her support of Frank's extreme methods really shakes things up. There's this unforgettable moment where Frank uses Karen as bait to flush out enemy operatives, and what happens next? Frank utterly decimates them. In a moment of raw emotion, Karen looks at him and says,
"You do this and I am done. That's it, you're dead to me, do you hear me?"
And Frank, he replies with this chilling line,
"I'm already dead."
This moment is heartbreakingly real, and yet, despite it all, Karen and Frank's bond continues to grow. When Karen returns in Frank's Punisher spin-off, the chemistry between them is undeniable. There's almost a romantic tension bubbling beneath the surface. It's like a fragile connection that's both comforting and dangerous, breaking away from comic norms. The big picture. Now, the kicker, this whole relationship is a game changer for how we see Frank Castle. Sure, Karen is drawn to Frank because of the raw pain they share, but the shows also reveal Frank's humanity in ways we've never seen in the comics. He's a guy desperate for connection, even while he's waging his endless war against crime. The truth is, this unexpected pairing shows us that breaking away from the comic book norm can actually lead to better, more human stories. Karen and Frank, two characters who, on paper, shouldn't even be in the same room, form a bond that feels real. And that's the beauty of it. What's next for Frank and Karen? Of course, with Daredevil Born Again on the horizon, there's no telling what will happen next. If Frank and Karen meet again, expect major tension. Will Karen find herself torn between Matt's moral code and Frank's unyielding justice? Could their connection evolve into something more? Or will Frank's violent war on crime tear them apart? One thing's for sure, this dynamic is about to explode in ways we never saw coming, and we are here for it. Alright, Marvel fans, that's a wrap on today's deep dive into The Punisher and Karen Page's unlikely yet powerful bond. What do you think? Is their relationship worth it, or is it just too far out there? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe to First Curiosity, and hit that notification bell for more awesome Marvel insights.